Oh, good morning, Mr. Benny Mathers. It is a frosty
Whoa.
morning here.
Oh, then you should be like this.
Oh. I
Right?
do have my blanket right here. I
Oh,
do have my
lucky.
blanket. I know. I my slippers. I'm just letting people know.
I should bring some slippers in the studio. It's a good
Yeah,
idea.
Yeah.
I did get a new pair for Christmas. I
You
did.
didn't get in. And are they like animal slippers of some kind?
So it's really cute actually, because I don't wear usually slippers at home, but I frequent into the garage often, and the girlfriend's like, okay, you're blowing through socks. Okay. So this is the backup plan. We'll get you some little slippers to slide in so you don't ruin those socks, and she doesn't have to keep shopping for me anymore. So then
Right.
for Christmas, her son and girlfriend got me a pair, because I'm a big Jordan guy. I used to wear Jordans. I still kind of do, but I'm kind of taking back on just collecting shoes. So they got me some slippers that are massive, like the big fluffy ones, and they're actually Nike Jordan ones. They're cool. Yeah. So I'll get a picture and send them to you. I'll show you.
I love that. Yeah, please send me a picture. I love that. That's really, really great.
There's a good side and a bad side real fast. But they're awesome. I love wearing them, but they get so hot, like very hot. Like maybe it's just me and I don't like to wear, heavy, like it's like sleeping bags on my feet, basically. I mean, that's great. I'm not gonna lose any heat. I'm gaining it, but wow, are they warm?
That's funny. That's actually really funny. It sounds like we're trying to sell slippers. Maybe we should buy stock in slippers. But I love slippers, and I have several pairs of slippers, and I've had bunny slippers forever. Aww. It's a joke, right? Big fluffy bunny slippers. But the new fabrics they have, everything is so soft and plushy, and it's gotten to the point where I actually have when people come in for appointments, that quite often are wearing slippers or.
Just to make them feel more comfortable,
or something, like that. So everybody bundle up. We did make it through the week. We've got a new president, and whether you're for him or against him, the gates are opened, and here we go. Hang on.
All right, let's go.
Put your hat on. Hang on.
See where the next 4 is going to take us. Okay.
Yeah, I was telling Betty, and of course, people that hang out with me know that I am purple. I hold purple ground because I do spiritual work with people. And I don't know, we do need to figure out how to work together. And I don't know, like my guests today are going to talk about kids, right? Like, I don't know, trying to work with your kids, maybe working with each other. But I have a little quote from Margaret Mead this morning, and it's my little inspirational thing. And she says, never underestimate the power of a small group of committed people to change the world. In fact, is the only thing that ever has. So, I don't know, envision.
I think it's perfect. It's a perfect quote.
It's a perfect quote, isn't it? So, high five.
High five.
A small group of dedicated, committed people. Boink.
All right.
Was that the right side?
Yeah. You got it. Just got to work on that.
Woo-hoo. Okay. Well, we're doing what we can. Doing what we can. Yeah. So I'm going to bring my guests on. And by the way, just a little foreshadowing. If you're a parent and you've got challenging children, you want to listen to this show. And before they come in, I want to just check in with the astrology weather. We do have a planet parade going on. It's kind of a big deal. We entered the season of Aquarius on the inauguration day. And next Wednesday, we have the Chinese New Year of the Wood Snake. So the new moon on January 29th is not only, like I said, the Chinese New Year, but the moon joins the planet of parade. So there will actually be 7 celestial bodies in a row in the sky. All you got to go out is look up. It's all over the world. And the planets that are lining up are Venus, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, Jupiter, and Mars. And most of them you can see with just your eyeballs, right? If you got a little telescope, get out there and take a look. And these planets will be visible as a parade mostly through February. So the parade continues. Like we often have planets lining up, but this is unusual to have 7 celestial bodies in a row. And everybody keeps saying to me, Loretta, is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? What's going on? And I keep hearing things like, well, get your ducks in a row. Everything's lining up. And the other thing is that I'm just a hobbyist astrologer. Honestly, there's people that know lots more than I do. But I like looking at the cosmic weather and kind of looking at how it affects us, right? Kind of like rain and snow. But the planets all represent different energies. They represent different ideas. Like Mars is, always like, if you think of a room of people, maybe I should say children, Mars is always that kind of the angry one, right? And then Venus is like trying to save money and make everybody nice and neat and let's get along, right? And Venus and Mars are the cosmic lovers, which is very interesting. So is it going to be love? Is it going to be hate? What's it going to be? And the planets are all in the same room. They're all lined up. They're all talking to each other and to us. And so, like I said, perhaps it is a time for us to really take a look at all areas of our life and kind of figure out, where do I need to adjust some things for myself? Where could I show up differently for myself and for others? Because it is a time of renewal. As we enter into the Chinese year of the snake, the wood snake. Wood is the nurturing element. So do we need to be kind? Do we need to be nurtured? Do we need to feel like we're safe? And do we need to have a way to contribute to the world? Probably. Lots of the sessions I'm doing with people, we are talking about what is it that is dying, what is going away. Some things have been taken brutally away from people. Some things we are being asked to modify or change. And so with that kind of energy in the sky, I can't think of a better day to have my guests, Thomas and Bonnie Liotta, on the show. They're talking about kids, but I want you to listen to it because it might be good for you too. So Tom and Bonnie Liotta are the dynamic duo behind Creating Champions for Life, the CCFL, a groundbreaking program designed to empower parents and transform the lives of children with emotional or behavioral challenges. Together, they've dedicated their lives to revolutionizing, oh, that's so Aquarian. Oh, yeah, parenting by equipping families with tools and strategies to foster cooperation, confidence, and harmony. They're also the authors of Learn to Speak Kid and Happy Healthy Cooperative Kids, I think is the name of it. Thomas, a former martial arts coach, pioneered innovative approaches that earned him recognition, including the 2004 Hall of Fame Award for the most creative after-school program. He can tell you about that, but I think he had little tiny kids doing martial arts, something like that. And Bonnie, a mother of 4 diagnosed with behavior disorders, and she is also an experienced leader, applied these methods in her own home, witnessing remarkable results. So they have created a system that addresses the root causes of behavioral issues without nagging, yelling, or medication. Seriously? So they also have created workshops, coaching, and tools like the Responsibility Star Chart to help families worldwide. And you just simply need to listen. So welcome to the show, Tom and Bonnie. It's great to have you here.
Oh, thanks so much. We're just so happy to be here. Anytime we can breathe life into the ears of parents who are open to hear. And you said something, Loretta, you said, heal the soul, heal the soul. And I've worked with a lot of people. Like you said, as a business leader, I had over 10,000 people on my team. So I've literally worked with thousands of people. And it seems to me that like every single person I ever worked with needed to heal their soul. So I want you to imagine a world where children could grow up with an already healed soul, that they didn't have to take 5, 10, 15 years or a lifetime trying to heal their soul. And that's really what Creating Champions for Life does. So we're so happy to be here.
Well, I support your work from my heart and soul. And of course, the last time you guys were on the show was 10 years ago. And so it's been, I can't wait to hear what's going on. But I'm at the other end. I mean, I do work with teenagers and things like that. But a lot of the people that come to me are what I call grown-up children, or they're look like adults, but they've got the same woundedness on the inside. Yeah. And years ago, I think it was 1997, I went on a vision quest to honor a part of my heritage. And the message I was given was heal the children and you heal the land. And that is physical, it is inner child, and it is the spiritual child. So you guys are doing it. So, mwah! So I want to just say, take it away, right? But there's so much to talk about. Give us a tiny bit of background. How did this all start for you guys? You know?
I'm going to take this because I really believe that, you talk about God and spirituality, and I really believe that my entire life, God has prepared me for this journey. When I was a little girl, I remember praying to God, not for a new iPad or a toy, but praying to God that I might fall out of a tree today, because then I might hurt myself. And if I hurt myself, then I got massive amount of love and attention from my mother. And I want to pre-frame that I think my mom is the greatest woman in the world. She's probably going to listen to this show. She made me who I am today. I would never want to change anything, but I just remember growing up a very disempowered child, and every human being that I talk to, we grow up, we get yelled at, we get put into a box of conformity. If we're not getting straight A's in school, well, we're not, ever going to succeed. And we just get fed all of these lies of perfection. And in 1994, I read a book called Think and Grow Rich, and he was talking about the power of desire and faith and goal setting and plans, and that you didn't need to be a straight A student, that you could have a goal and work towards it and persevere towards it, and you could succeed. And I ran over to my dad's house and I go, Dad, I don't know how, but I'm going to find a way to empower all the kids of the world before the age of 12, simply because I knew that if I had known the truth about how the world works at a younger age, I never would have done all the stupid things, rebellious things that I did as a teenager. I would have been diagnosed ODD. Had I been a teenager in today's world, I would have probably been diagnosed conduct disorder. I was one of those kids who was just not going to not going to stand for it. But then also I needed 10 years of personal development after I read Think and Grow Rich to even think about succeeding as an entrepreneur. So 18 years after that dream instilled in my heart, which I spoke from the front of the room every single time as a business leader, that we were going to find a way to empower kids by the age of 12. Well, 18 years later, I have 4 kids from the ages of 6 to 13. My dream was dying very quickly. I was living my own secret nightmare. They were being diagnosed with ADHD, the most severe case of ODD, which I never even heard of. What is oppositional defiant disorder? Anxiety, depression. My kids all hated me. And I was speaking on stage as a great business leader, going home, living my own secret nightmare, crying in the bathroom when I met Tom, and he changed our lives.
Wow. I love that. It's powerful. The very best teachers, advisors, healers are the ones who have gone through it, and I'm just going to say I can identify the real thing, because it is through that experience that you've created your alchemy, your medicine.
Oh, Loretta.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm praying to God for an answer.
Yeah.
Ben already had this dream for 18 years. I'm in my bathroom, literally going, maybe grandchildren would be better. Maybe it'll be better later on. And through a really miraculous series of events, we don't have time for everything today, but I ended up on a cruise ship, an entrepreneurial personal development cruise ship, in January of 2011. It's a 4-day cruise ship. And 4 or 5 hours before we leave this cruise ship, I get introduced to Tom, because he had his own radio show. And somebody thought that my personal development speeches would go on his radio show, and that's how we connected. And when I brought him to Canada and I saw him with my kids, I saw him use a very unique language that matched everything I ever learned in personal development, goals, plans, perseverance, all of these success power words. He was using them with the kids. And I'm just going to, if I hadn't seen it for myself, the difference, my most severe case of ODD, kicked out of 3 schools by grade 1. The only solutions was to medicate him, put him in a behavioral class with a glass room at the back, years of therapy. That was our options. And Tom just used this unique language and helped me create an environment at home that totally transformed. All 4 of my kids, all different ages, all dealing with different emotional issues and behavioral issues, all stepped into their power. And I thought every parent in the world deserves to know about this. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so I want you to give the details of that event, the
like the aha moment.
Yeah, because I can hear everybody's going, what? What are you talking about? Right.
Okay, so Zach was 6.5. Every single night, his entire life, I'm talking, Loretta, 2, 3, 4 hours screaming, temper tantrums at bedtime. So I invite Tom to Canada. Hey, I'm putting together this workshop for entrepreneurs. You're really smart. Do you want to be my male counterpart and help me put together this workshop? Now, I have to say, because you have a lot of spiritually guided people listening to your show, my mouth was saying one thing. Do you want to come to Canada and help me do this event? My mind was going, why are you doing this? I don't need a guy to help me with this event. My mouth says the words and he goes, sure. So I'm like, well, now I'm in it. So I have to bring him to Canada. So I fly him to Canada. Didn't know he had any idea of like how to deal with kids. I had no idea what his past was. He comes into my house. I've got these 4 kids and I'm on my best behavior. I am being the sweetest, kindest mom in the world, talking to my kids, trying to get them to just behave. And bedtime's coming and I know I'm going to be so embarrassed when my son goes into this meltdown. I don't know what to do. So I'm as nice as possible. Hey, Zach. It's getting close to bedtime. You know, this whole gentle parenting thing going on. It's getting close to bedtime. Give him the pre-warning. And immediately he goes, but I don't want to go to bed. And Tom comes around the corner and,
hey, Zach, can I ask you a couple questions? And he said, yeah. Would you like to go to bed now with a story or in 10 minutes from now without a story?
All by yourself.
All by yourself.
So I want to add this though, because, you know, lots of parenting will say offer choices. So we offered him a choice, but that was the first time I'd ever seen it. And Zach actually had an opportunity to think. Here's the missing link, Loretta. I'd never taught him about time. I didn't teach him. He didn't know what 10 minutes on the clock was. He's 6. And so Tom took a few proactive minutes. Now, kids crave attention. We all know this. They love attention. Yeah. But we're so busy giving them reactive attention, trying to correct them in the moment. Where Tom takes them over, he goes, do you know what 10 minutes on the clock looks like? Zach goes, no. Takes the time to take him over to the clock, show him exactly what to look for, and goes, now I hand the responsibility over to you. Now, for all the ODD moms listening, I was doing what you're doing, which is like, yeah, well, maybe it's because it's a stranger or he's just duped you. And in 10 minutes from now, we'll start the 4-hour meltdown. Well, I'll tell you what, 10 minutes later, Zach comes running up the stairs. Big kiss and big hug. I love you. Good night. Went to bed all by himself. And I didn't see him again till morning for the first time in his life. Now, we're all taught, if you're going to be a good mom, you need to read all your kids a bedtime story every night. Well, I was forcing them to sit through a bedtime story they didn't even want to. He just wanted to be responsible for himself. And so that moment I was like, okay, wow, cool. But it kind of went over my head, right? Until the next time Zach's going, Mom, I'm thirsty. And what does every mom do, Loretta? Be right there. I'll come get you something.
Hang on. Let me stop doing the 80 million things I'm doing and come get you a glass of water.
Let me run from floor to floor, taking care of all my 4 kids as a great mom does. And Tom sent me on a wild goose chase, taught Zach how to make his own juice. Zach made his own juice. And when I went into the kitchen, he was sitting there with the most proud, like, you know, the cat who ate the canary kind of look. And Tom goes, guess who made the juice? And I'm like, Zach did. So just these little instances started to happen. And when my kids started to like clean out the back of the car and they wouldn't come in the house till the car was clean, or they were making me breakfast in bed, or my 13-year-old was cleaning out the fridge, and all of these little things started to happen. And I'm like, Tom, you have a parenting philosophy here that no one else in the world is teaching. That is so empowering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. So, Tom, where did you get this wisdom? Where did you get this idea, this knowledge?
That's what I asked
based
him.
in?
Where did you learn to talk to kids like that?
Yeah.
Well, be full disclosure, I had no idea that what I was doing or God was preparing me on a path over decades. When you look back at it, it's crystal clear now. But I had no idea it was going to be a parenting program until I met Bonnie, who had a dream that every child know that they could become a somebody before the age of 12. And that every parent knows that there's an alternative that's either off your radar or somebody doesn't want you to know. So what it started with me was I played a lot of sports. Mom got me into things because I was one of those kids you couldn't control. I'll tell you a little story of when I was very young. Power of monkey see, monkey do was you see it, you mimic. Well, I could watch the door being locked, and Mom told me this story is that I could push the chair over, get on there, and undo the regular lock and usually a deadbolt. And me and my dog Viking at the time it looked like a Clydesdale because I'm this little kid. But we'd get up and we would leave in the morning. So Mom would wake up and go, he's out of the crib and he's gone. Door's wide open. So the police would find me like 6-8 blocks down the street, pick me up. I'd come back. I'm all happy. And at the time you got your butt blistered and like, I don't know what that even means. Next day, do the same thing. Well, Mom added another lock, like a little sliding chain. It got to the point where there was 7 locks on the door and people would go, is this a bad neighborhood? No, this is just an attempt to control Tommy to keep him in. So Mom learned at a very young age, or when I was young age, she's like, look, you better put this kid in something because there's no way you're going to stop this kid. And so that's when she started putting me into sports and Cub Scouts and all these other activities to channel that. And so through that process, you learn to develop personal development. Played every sport there was. Then when I got into high school, I had 2 younger brothers that were attempting to try out for baseball. They're 8 and 10. And Mom goes, there's no coaches that want to come out to teach Little League baseball. Well, what would you do with a motley crew of kids that are running rampant all over, no direction? And dads are like, I'm not volunteering for this. So I had a chance to be in a leadership role and the kids flocked to me. I was like 16 at the time because I knew where they were at and I knew the game. So what do you guys want to do while you're here? And everybody was like, win, win, win. But when you got a chance to find out that each kid wanted to do something unique, like just get in the batter's box and not get hit with the ball. So you could relate to their level. So when you taught them that you could go through these processes. Well, I had one kid that wanted to hit the ball and run all the way across the field to the other diamond and hit home run over there, or like hit the home plate. So we ran with the kids on goal power. Why are you here? It was always key. So we entertained that. Why you're here. We helped them go from a can't to a can. And then after I got right out of high school, I got introduced to martial arts, which is also another spiritual journey. Like one day I woke up and I heard his voice go to your truck, Tom. Okay. I walked in the truck. I got in, started it up and started driving. Random left, random right, and pretty soon I pulled in this parking and I see this thing that says Taekwondo. And I'm like, I don't even know why I'm here. I'm just being guided. I walked in the door. I look over to the left and there's the sensei, the Kwanjing Nim, it's empty. And he was like sitting there like he was waiting for me. He goes, hi, can I help you? I'm like, I'm just supposed to be here. And it started, which I had no idea was going to be the embarking of learning the mastery of martial arts. And so when I did learn my first black belt, it took me 5 years of dodging a bamboo stick, of being whacked, because the perfect class was when you didn't get whacked with the bamboo stick. And I got a chance to start teaching white belts because I earned that privilege. And I'm thinking, that's not duplicatable. And it was a moment of clarity when it was like, when you say yes to a child, right? You keep saying yes. The more you give, the more they take. You can never fill a bottomless pit. Hint, hint, wink, wink. And if you tell them no, well, then you're basically telling them to go do it somewhere else or when I'm not around. So couldn't say yes, couldn't say no. But there was this moment that said, well, I always know there's 3 to everything. And that I won't get into it now, but I looked, it was like, yes, no. But there was this part, like water's parted, and it said, maybe. Yes, no, or maybe. There's the power of 3. And I visualize it. You take it, and it was like this electric company Sesame Street thing where it pulled the words apart, may and be, and it pulled it apart to where it said may, and there was this hidden I behind the letter B, and it said, may I be. And it was right there. It was like, the kids are not asking me to say yes or no. They're really a sacred voice that's saying, may I be like you? May I be able to do what you do? Would I be able to do what you do one day all by myself without you? And it was that part of punishment or telling them what they can't, don't, won't. It was a guiding their behavior to their independent greatness, because the thumbprint shows that we are little genius here on earth to embrace their own uniqueness, and they're there to do it in their own unique way. And it was that moment that it took me on that path, which then led to being nominated and validated and put into Martial Art Hall of Fame for the most creative after school program, because I'm used to doing things that the masses don't. And when I had enough parents come and say, hey, I heard you can fix kids, can you fix mine? There's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
Took them on. But what was really key was we became the very first martial art daycare center, because moms were on a subsidy, and the mom was like, my child's been kicked out of all the daycares in a 5-mile radius, and I needed to qualify for their funding. And that put us on a really great path.
Wow. I just say, wow. What inspirational and directed life, guided.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
this is divine, right? This is meant to be.
You want to hear something else really divine?
Of
You can't make this
course.
stuff up.
Yeah.
I read Think and Grow Rich in 1994 and voiced my dream. Tom got his black belt in martial arts also in 1994 and made the conscious decision. Now, I think that sharing Tom's dyslexia is really important here, because he can see both sides, like just automatically, like God totally prepared him. So he gets his black belt in 1994 and makes a conscious decision. I'm going to do the opposite of anything negative to guide my white belts. I think that's so powerful, because today's parenting paradigm is correcting behavior in the moment, disciplining, take away, time out, punishing, threatening, bribing, yelling. And the only reason that a parent would ever yell, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's because you don't know what else to do. None of us get up in the morning and choose to yell, just like no child wakes up in the morning and says, I want to tick my parents off today. Everybody's just doing the best they can with what they know. But the opposite of negative is success principles. It's called desire, setting a goal, making a plan, having a timeline, persevering independently, going through obstacles and adversities all by yourself, like a toddler climbing up on a chair. Don't go over and put the toddler up on a chair. Let them struggle, right? Or a 5-year-old coloring, like let them color outside the lines. Who cares? We get so caught up in this lie of perfection. There was only one perfect human being. I call him Jesus. The rest of us are struggling and learning and growing to live on this planet and to be the best that we can. But when it comes to parenting, we are failing our kids. It is not the kid's job at 5 years old or 6 years old with severe ODD to go, how does the world work? I need to speak the way my parents want me to. I need to be who they want me to be. It is our job as parents to go back and to understand the 6-year-old would love to be respectful if they knew what that meant. They would love to make their own bed if you would show them how. Mm-hmm. They would love to pick up their socks if they were internally motivated. We weren't handing them an iPad or an iPhone to entertain them while we talk on the phone. See, we're failing our kids, and it's not our fault, but it is our responsibility to do something about it now that we've heard this show. And we can't go back and pretend we didn't.
Yeah. So we're going to take a little station break, and my guests today are the dynamic duo, Thomas and Bonnie Liotta, creating champions for life. Don't go away, because when we come back, Bonnie said something and I want to follow through. I know a lot of people use bribery for their kids. And when we come back, I'm going to have them answer the question, well, what else can we do? Right?
Awesome.
Yeah. So this is Loretta Brown with Thomas and Bonnie Liotta. We'll be right back.
Okay, all clear. Energy is powerful. It's all around us, mysterious, full of potential. Directing positive, healing energy to raise your vibrational rate through Reiki can change your life. Reiki master Loretta Brown has relieved stress, sadness, anger, and even helped clients lose weight, stop smoking, and end sleep disorders. Worldwide, people have sought out Reiki Oasis. If you want help with your dis-ease, visit ReikiOasis.com. Harness life's energy. Visit ReikiOasis.com today.
Diabetes is on the rise, putting healthy vision at risk. Diabetes-related eye disease is the leading cause of blindness in adults 20 to 74. It's appearing earlier with greater frequency in younger people. Try to prevent vision loss from diabetes by getting dilated eye exams, regular health checkups to monitor blood glucose levels, and follow a diabetes treatment program as prescribed. Learn more at preventblindness.org/diabetes. A public service message from Prevent Blindness, United Healthcare Vision, and this station.
Alternative Talk 1150. We're on your radio at 1150 a.m. We're on your HD radio at 98.9 Channel 3.
So many ways to listen.
We're on the web at 1150kknw.com, streaming live audio and video as well as MP3 archives of many of our shows.
So many ways to listen.
And now, we're on your smartphone or tablet. Download our free app in the Apple App Store or Google Play and take Alternative Talk 1150 anywhere you go.
So many ways to listen.
Tell your friends about Alternative Talk 1150.
Y'all ready to come back? All right, stand by.
Woohoo! That's the perfect song, Mr. Benny Mathers. Thank you so much. And welcome back to the original Loretta Brown show. Yep, the original one. Yep, the original. Oh, never mind. Anyway, my mother used to say, well, you're special. You're special. My guests today are Thomas and Bonnie Liotta. Just a reminder that these shows are archived and downloaded for free at the KKNW 1150 AM archives for the original Loretta Brown show. And of course, we are on YouTube. We're live right now on YouTube, but we will be there. YouTube, Megaphone X, iTunes, Podcast One. I always leave somebody out, but you get the idea. We're all over the place. Please go take a look. There are literally thousands of great shows. I get to interview some of the most wonderful people on the planet. And of course, Thomas and Bonnie Liotta are the founders of Creating Champions for Life. And they specialize in parenting. Before the break, you said something about bribery. Could you please go back to bribery and help us understand what is a different way of motivating kids other than bribery?
That's so interesting. Because if we bribe a judge or a police officer, what happens? We get arrested. We go to jail. We get fined, right? So we know it's kind of like illegal. So, but I get that. There's this big controversy. Should you parent with rewards or without rewards? You know, the kids should just do what they're supposed to do because you tell them to. Let's think about this as a human being. we don't ever have to bribe anybody. And the minute that people hear us talking about goals, that's where our mind goes, because we're habitual beings. We have neural pathways, and we only can see things through the eye lenses or through the perception of our own personal experience. So I'm bringing a magnifying glass to that because I want to open and expand your thinking here. One of the greatest things we teach our clients, number one, is if you're headed down the track at 100 miles an hour going in the negative direction, the wrong direction, there's no way, number one, to stop that train instantaneously. There are no quick fixes when we're talking about raising tiny human beings. But one of my greatest things is if you could just like take a book and don't worry about the sock on the floor right now. Don't worry about them making their bed right now. You know that there are things for them to do. It's called the law of sowing and reaping. So the parents sit back and like read your book. Just sit back and relax. Because how many minutes is it going to be before your child goes, Mom, I'm hungry. Mom, I'm thirsty. Mom, can we go to the park? Can we do this? Can we have ice cream? Can we blah, blah, blah?
Yep.
We don't ever need to bribe our kids. The kids are going to be asking for things all day long. But are we working in a timeline of our own personal needs, our own personal desires or goals, or are we taking into consideration that we've got this other little human being that we're responsible for preparing for the world? So did you get that? You sit back and you wait. Mom, I'm hungry. Ooh, I get hungry too. What are you thinking of? You validate that they're hungry. But in the real world, isn't there the law of sowing and reaping? Don't we reap what we sow? Right? So for lunch, would you like to have a sandwich with some chocolate milk, or a sandwich with some chocolate milk and a cookie? And yes, it can be an all natural, healthy cookie. So don't give me any comments about cookies. You see what I'm saying? We're just kind of putting it out there. You can make whatever you want to have happen. Oh, you want to play a video game? Do you want 5 minutes, 15 minutes, or 30 minutes? Because if that sock goes where the rest of the dirty clothes are, which is where? In the laundry basket, look how smart you are. So we don't ever have to bribe. The kids ask for things all day long. When they ask for something, they are not expecting you to control them. In fact, this is where the chaos comes from, because a vision or a people without vision perish. It's in the book of Proverbs, right? People without vision perish. So when the parents supply everything, do everything, dictate everything, bribe the kids, the child has no vision on what Tom just said. May I be like you? May I do what you do? May I one day be able to do it all by myself without you? And if a child becomes a teenager, that's why before the age of 12 is so imperative, although it's never too late. But like, if a child can have a vision, if I want something in my life, it's called a goal. All I got to do is make a plan and make it happen. If I don't want it that badly, I don't earn it. It's that simple. So we just go from being reactive to proactive. We take the control off. We bring free will into it by empowering and validating their goals, even if it's a belly button ring and they're 10. We'd love for you to have a belly button ring. Who do you know that has a belly button ring? What does that mean to you? How do you take care of it? How old do you have to be to get a belly button ring without a parent consent? 16? Good. We'll talk about it again when you're 16. Then you're not saying no. You're not this power over the child who is their enemy. Does that make sense?
Showing them more of when it can happen versus an absolute over my dead body.
Right. And I was thinking when you were talking, because I could see Tom wanted to add, but I want to ask this question because, you know, bribery to me is sort of like you're sort of desperate and you're trying to throw things at the kid. And there's a couple of things. You said something, I don't think you actually said the word motivation, but I heard the word motivation in my head about like, how do we motivate kids to move in that direction that we're really wanting them to go? And you keep bringing it back to giving them some sort of choice, some sort of self-empowerment. Maybe it's self-regulation, you know, like these are words that are all over the place out there. But it seems like there's a combination there of some sort of satisfaction they feel or some sort of participation that they feel. And I was thinking also about what Tom was saying about that may I be, right? So that was an awful lot. I don't know who wants to make comments on that, but yeah, maybe Tom.
Yeah. we talked real brief about the vision. If there was a way to add or subtract, grow or destroy, when you come to terms that bribery is designed to delay or destroy vision, it's guaranteed. If you're a non-believer, keep doing it. Which direction you're going? Oh my gosh, that makes sense. However, when you know that there's two sides to the coin, law of polarity, right? Game of opposites. If you want to actually develop or make vision grow, because with it you can prosper individually, all you got to do is, instead of bribe, create it as a goal. And see, there's a clue right in there for us little geniuses to solve. How do you know when a genius offspring is always learning? GOAL, genius offspring's always learning. They're running on what we call, or we plant the seed with you, it's called goal power. See, it comes from the inside out,
right?
Where a bribery on its best day is from the outside in. Yeah. And when you can get high, this is a higher vibration. You can get high from the outside in, which means they are in control of your highness. Right. But when it comes from the inside out, that's called goal power. And there's not one drug. I'll go toe to toe with anybody on this. There's not one drug that man has recreated that gets you more high than that feeling of, see what I just did all by myself.
Yes.
And that's when the children can go, look, I'm not telling you can get high. The question is do you want to get high from the inside out or outside in? Because either way, you're going to make it work. Yeah. And that's the razor's edge difference.
Yeah. Yeah. That I'm also applying that to the adults that I work with. I think that goes for all of us. Many people are not motivated because they've forgotten how to set a goal and reach it, and what that feeling is like when you actually have done that work and you're there. Right. Yes. A lot of people are fantasizing, or they're watching it on some, YouTube or something where, like I was talking to someone the other day. She goes, Loretta, I keep watching these little like TikTok things. I'm sorry. I don't know if we can still talk TikTok. I guess it's up again. But anyway, she's like, I keep watching these things that are like, do these 3 exercises every day and you'll never age. And she goes, and I said, are you doing it? She goes, no, I just keep watching these. I just keep watching these videos. Right. Like, right.
Well, sometimes you got to watch it. Like Think and Grow Rich sat on my desk or on my dresser for about 1.5 years before I actually read it. And then you read it, and then it takes 10 years to actually implement what's in it. That makes sense, because
it's got to, get grow down in there. It's got like the seed under the ground.
It's just seed. The seed needs to be watered and fertilized, and eventually it will grow. But I want to say this: we're talking about manipulation. No, we're talking about bribing. And I want to say that a child will know when they're being manipulated. Children we don't need to manipulate our children to get them to comply. But what we need to do is understand that a child, no matter if they're 1 or 21, they have thoughts and feelings and desires. They want to be needed. They need to have some purpose in this world for them to find authentic happiness. The whole universe is designed absolutely perfectly. It's us as human beings who are only as good as what we've been taught. Now, I want you to imagine this, all the parents that are listening. This is what's happening. You're excited to be a parent. You're so in love. If you're like me, I'm going to be different than my parents were. I'm going to be the best parent in the world. 13 years later, you end up in trouble. So what's happening is you're coming home with this beautiful like puzzle. And on the cover or the picture of the puzzle is this beautiful little girl with a little yellow dress. But when you open the puzzle and you go to put the pieces together, there are no yellow pieces. And so you're trying to put the pieces together looking at this picture of what you think it should be, but it's the wrong picture. So if we're working with the wrong picture and we're working with the wrong information, correcting behavior in the moment, offering lectures, whether you should have a reward or not have a reward, gentle parenting or yelling, there is an in-between. And it's called what you were talking about earlier. It's called love. It's called 100% unconditional loving energy. When you can validate a child, when you can look at them and love everything they do, whether they just broke a glass or spilled some milk or whatever, they're not doing this on purpose to cause trouble. So when we love them and we can see them and we can validate every single desire that little child has, and you can create a proactive, customized family plan that the end result, the byproduct is love and peace and joy and cooperation and harmony. And I wanted to say that before the end of the show, because I don't even think parents know what could be possible when we parent in a guiding way like this. You don't even know what's possible. We've been so conditioned to believe in terrible twos, that meltdowns and testing boundaries is the job of our children, that we're blinded by the wolves in sheep's clothing. And it's time to take the blinds off and to see that your little child is just a little genius who's looking to be seen by you and heard by you, and not like the one thing to do if you want to motivate your child is stop giving them everything for free. They don't want it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. That's absolutely right. I want to move into talking about consistency. What role does consistency play in successful parenting, and how can the responsibility star chart help?
Well, the whole game is about them learning how to be independent.
Okay.
Right? Every animal in an animal kingdom follows this law except for man, because we were given free will. But when you look at every animal that bears offspring, the whole prime directive is to prepare them to launch out of the nest, where we're actually postponing. So when we talk about learning, if you want to destroy someone's ability to learn, keep doing it for them. Consistently do it for them, and then you wonder why why aren't you leaving? Well, why would I get everything here? There's no incentive. But when we talk about goal, plan, take action, perseverance, this is the ability to turn any and all obstacles into a learning opportunity. You see, when you let them struggle, that's how the butterfly gets out of the cocoon, because it's that struggle that does the necessary steps that are off the radar, like the fluid into the capillaries. Because if the caterpillar in making can wiggle enough on its own, then it has earned the right to be outside of the cocoon. But if I come in and help it, it's going to become a snack and it'll never fly. So we must pass those types of quizzes. And one of my personal favorites is the chicken who must learn focus to peck in a certain area repeatedly. Life skill, this is the big key, is once the chicken can learn the life skill to peck consistently, then it will have a chance to feed itself outside the shell. Because if it's just randomly, it sees food, it won't be able to survive. It's these processes that we must set up. We call it creating the right environment.
Yeah, you know what? I want to think, because now we're going into the star chart. My first thought was like doing the wrong thing consistently is still the wrong thing. It doesn't matter how consistent you are, we're still going to end up in the same place. So when people start to get a hold of creating champions for life, or maybe they see a TikTok video, they get the word goal and they go right to bribe, but we just talked about that. So then they go, oh, the CCFL star chart. And I actually saw the word star chart on a Google search last week, which is not the CCFL star chart. So we start making the mistakes, and I made the same mistake. I'm like, oh yeah, right. Okay, I'm going to put up a chore chart and I'm going to attach some rewards to it. So when I first met Tom and I introduced it to my kids, they all went away for 10 minutes, came back and said, you owe me $20. And I'm like, wait a minute, I did not put up a star chart. And it wasn't until actually I lived with Tom that I could see a star chart. See, we've gone through a 13-year journey. For you here today, we've perfected the parenting edition, because the star chart is like a child's paycheck. It's the law of sowing and reaping, or cause and effect. It is not a chore chart. There are things on the star chart that they need to do in order to earn their goals. But at the end of the week, if they have a possibility of earning 40 stars on the star chart and they only earn 3, well, you need to have a proactive plan for what does 3 stars actually earn them. 5 minutes on the video game instead of an hour, or whatever. You can do this proactive. It's so simple, not easy, but so simple to do. And so the responsibility star chart is a chart that includes the child's goals, the child's hours, what they've put in, which they get paid exactly what they've put out at the end of the week. And to be honest, most children have to earn 3 out of 40 the first week in order to actually know what that means. because they're not going to learn it with words. If you earn 3, you get bare minimum. They're not going to know what that means until they actually fail. So we encourage families to fail forward fast.
Yes. And if you were to start at 0 and always add. So let's just give an example. You've got 12 and 0. Pick a number that, Loretta, that pops in your mind between 1 and 12.
7.
7. Perfect. So there's 2 ways to get to 7. Bribery would be like, I'm going to give them everything. A 12. What effort did they put out? 7. There's a -5 deficit that you're creating the illusion that by me doing 7, I get paid as a 12.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you look at all I do for you. You ingrate, right? You don't even appreciate.
Yeah,
Started
yeah.
at 0, and you said, "I love you whether you do some, none, or all."
Yes.
The power is into you.
Yes.
And when they go from 0 to 7, you're like, "Oh, look at you, little champ. You did this one correct. You did that one perfect. This one was even done right." And we add it to 7, and then just like when you play a game and get some tickets, and then you go to the goal vault, and you're like, "Well, what does 7 get me?" But I want more. We wait for that. I'd love for you to have more. What else could I show you that you could do to go from 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 10, 11, and 12? Because at the end of the day, if it is to be, it is up to me. And that's preparing them to launch out of the nest versus postpone the inevitable. And yes, simple, but just like riding a bike, driving a car, or your first kiss,
you're going to need some help.
There's a learning curve.
Yeah.
And some of us need to sign up for driver's ed.
Yeah.
Well, and you're creating champions for life. Like I'm hearing you guys. I'm really hearing it. I know you could expound upon that, but I want to make sure I ask this third question about over explaining instructions and why that is counterproductive.
I can sum it up in just a few words.
Yeah. Yeah. Go for it.
Duct tape. Number 1. 2, there's 3 sacred games in our genius world that have been around since the beginning of time, and they'll never take them away, but we can take them back. Nobody was talked into walking.
Right.
Monkey see, monkey do. As soon as they begin to mimic, they're showing you how they did it in their own unique way, and they're looking for validation. Of course, they did it different. That's irrelevant. But it's monkey see, monkey do. Then we start playing follow the leader, where I'll do, mess it up, you do. Or maybe you do and I follow you. And then we get into there's a formula for everything. And it's called Simon Says game. What Simon says, if you do it, you're still in the game. And if you stay in the game long enough, you earn your goal. So monkey follows Simon. So Simon can follow monkey. And when you've got this, that they cannot steal from us, they can teach us not to know it. Like pop a pill or learn the missing life skill. When it gets that simple, that's how we can get away from medication that's postponing the inevitable, where they're looking for the life skill to be independent.
That's it.
May I be like you? May I do what you do? Would I be able to do anything and everything I want to do one day without you? That's the name of the game, because game is goals activated, manifest every time. So let's play a game. Adults work, geniuses play.
Wow.
And that's how we win every time.
I love it. So we are down to actually less than a minute. Where can people find you? Are you offering them something? And
oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. We want to give you everything. Just go to learntospeakkid.com and join our VIP list. And we're going to get you a free ebook, introduce to the Creating Champions for Life app, invite you to our events. Learntospeakkid.com. Our VIP list is the best place to go. You can also email us from there. Once you get the email from us, you can reply. We'll talk to you, whatever you need. Yeah.
Sounds great. Final word.
My final word is this. Napoleon Hill writes in his book, The Law of Success, many parents find themselves saying, I'm going to give my kids an easy life. He continues by saying, poor, foolish creatures. An easy life is oftentimes a far more handicap, gives them a handicap that some of them can barely even survive. And when we look at the suicide rates of today of our teenagers and things that are going on, it really resonates.
Fantastic. Tom?
I love my outro, which means until we meet again, let's celebrate. Here's to our parenting success.
Woohoo! I love it. All right. Thank you so much, Thomas and Bonnie Liotta. Please go learntospeakkid.com and sign up on their VIP list. Do everything and pay attention. If the planets can line themselves up and get their ducks in a row, so can you. That's all I have to say. And happy Chinese New Year, Year of the Snake. Time to shed off the old and bring on the new. Benny Mathers, you are the best. And have a wonderful week, everybody. Bye-bye.